Shalom Aleichem, everyone. We're continuing Hachzeg's learning of the Pele Yoetz, day number 230. And beautifully, we're going to learn today about Pesach, one of the greatest ways to hold on to the Yom Tov, to the Chizuk and this Eirus, everything that we gained and gleaned over the glorious days. It's still echoing in the air. We can still feel the sparks of Kedusha. And we continue to learn about it and understand what we were supposed to take from it, and perhaps we can even carry it longer with us right now, it'll be a big chizuk for us. So even though it would have been very nice if we would have learned this exactly before Pesach or on Pesach, there's a big milah to learn it today, and that is that it keeps the sparks of the Seder, of the Yom Tiv, of the Ruchnius, of the Kedusha of Pesach. It will keep it alive for us right now. And he says like this, and remember, we're speaking about Agadata, we're speaking about the more esoteric, Musri type of ideas that Chazal teach us, and they are to be Moshech related, to draw out our hearts into loving Hashem, to your Shemayim, to fearing HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to loving the Torah, the mitzvahs, embracing Torah. That's why Chazal speak the way that they do. And he writes, Ubifrat b'kriyas ha'Haggadah b'leil Pesach. Specifically, and especially when we read the Haggadah, on the night of Pesach, she mitzvah deraisa, it is a positive commandment from the Torah. Dichsiv, like it says in the Torah, v'yigadata lebincha. You should tell it over to your children. The Haggadah is the way in which we tell over the story of Yetzias Mitzrayim to our children. Mitzvah deraisa. V'chol amar v'lesaper b'Yetzias Mitzrayim. Anyone who increases the telling over of the Exodus from Egypt, harei ze meshubach. He's praiseworthy. Meshubach is a praiseworthy thing, and he is meshubach. He gets elevated as well as a result. The main mitzvah is tell over to your wife and your children. Ma'isa Hashem, the actions, the deeds of the Rebbeinu Shalom. Biprate prates, with details. And you have to increase telling over the praises of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. His tremendous strength and abilities, his hashgacha pratis, the divine providence that he has on everyone. His tremendous love and endearment and mercy that he has on us. How many wonderful things HaKadosh Baruch Hu did for us. And therefore, since we see how HaKadosh Baruch Hu takes care of us, how he saves us, how he rescued us, how he took us out of Mitzrayim, all of the above, so therefore it's mutal, it is incumbent upon us to fear Hashem, uli'ava es Hashem, to love him, ula'avdoi, Avayda Shlema, and to serve him to the best of our abilities. Zeh kol pri Haggadah. That's the fruits. Those are the results of the Haggadah. That's what I want to take out of the Haggadah. So you have to keep this in mind for next year. He doesn't say fancy drushes. He doesn't say we are complex halachic issues that you want to speak about by the Seder. No. Simple amunah and bitachon in the Rebbeinu Shalom. How much he does for us, how grateful and how indebted we are to Hashem. And therefore, I'm going to take that indebtedness and that gratefulness and that appreciation of the Rebbeinu Shalom. I'm going to turn back to Hashem and serve him in the proper way. The words of Chazal in the Haggadah. So he's saying over here that the words of the Haggadah are written by Chazal. Chazal themselves, who wrote the Haggadah, says the Pele Yoetz. So they have hidden in the greatest mystical secrets into the words of the Haggadah. Therefore, since in the Hebrew language that they concealed the greatest secrets of the universe and our Amunah and our nation and Yetzias Mitzrayim and Hashgacha Pratis and so on and so forth, in the words, first you should read every statement in the Haggadah in Lashon HaKodesh in Hebrew. But after that, explain it to your family. Not every person in the house understands the Hebrew. Not everybody can understand the intricacies of what Chazal are trying to communicate, and therefore you have an obligation. You're leading the Seder. You have an obligation to make sure that you give it over in a way that they can digest and they can understand and they can appreciate. And even if you don't understand yourself, the deeper meanings that Chazal hid away inside the Haggadah, you should at least have in mind that every word that you read should go up and up and up. They should make tikkunim, spiritual corrections and enlightenments in Shemayim, in the heavens. And in the Zohar Kodesh it tells us dramatically, the great praises that will reach the one who tells over the story of Yetzias Mitzrayim, and it delights and it rejoices and is happy when he tells over the story. You can't sit at the Seder table, oh, it was so hard to be a slave. Oh, it has to be with simcha, with joy, says the Pele Yoetz. If you do that in Shemayim, there's a very famous Zohar that says Hashem gathers all Pamal Yadilei. He gathers his heavenly host, the Malachim, the angels, and he says, look down there at my children. Thousands of years after the fact, they're still telling over the story of Yetzias Mitzrayim with joy, happiness, and excitement and enthusiasm. Says the Pele Yoetz, how much pleasure we give to the Rebbeinu Shalom. And he is certainly going to pay a person back for all of that pleasure that we give to him when he sees how much we're working on extolling the praise of Hashem through the story of Yetzias Mitzrayim. If you look in certain, Chumashim, Sidurim, you will find that it brings down these words in the Zohar. Maybe you'll find in the Chayk Yisrael, maybe you'll find in one of those farms like that. It's fitting for a person to put his heart, to be misayra, to become revved up and excited, enthusiastic with joy when he thinks about the depth of these things. How wonderful is our portion and how beautiful is our goyrel, our lot. So much love HaKadosh Baruch Hu has made known to us. From our father, our shepherd, Melech Ram Venisa, the lofty, amazing king. There's no end to his greatness. There's no limits. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is limitless. He's infinite. How do we know how much he loves us? Because he was Mekadesh us. He sanctified us with his mitzvahs. And he commanded us to tell over his miracles that he did for us. And to remind ourselves of the great niflois, the great wonders that he did. We have a mitzvah to eat matzah and maror the night of the Seder. Everything and every word that we say in the Haggadah. And especially with the joy that we have, it makes great fruits, great things in the heavens. It makes pleasure, gives pleasure to Hashem. And we're able to build these holy spiritual chambers in the heavens through the work of our hands, in a way that we can never even fathom and imagine how great is going to be the impact in Shemayim, because we, little Jews down here in this world, are sitting around thousands of years afterwards telling over the story. You have no idea how great and how big and how awesome you are, that you could accomplish such major things in Shemayim. We know we've done our best. Our hands have done the greatest actions they could, but HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he fixes for us reward, schar toiv, I'll call that on reward for every word that comes out of your mouth on the night of the Seder, every chizuk that a person gets, every amunah message that they impart to their wife and their children and to themselves. Elevated. Nachas ruach Hashem, tremendous reward waiting for a person. Hayesh cheich masag mizeh. Is there anything sweeter than this? Ashreinu atayv chalkeinu. How fortunate we are in our portion. Ki efshar It's impossible that we shouldn't reach it. We should be jumping out of our skin. Says the Pele Yoetz, look what we have. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us such a beautiful mitzvah. And we can grow in this mitzvah every single year. And we can gain and glean so much from the Haggadah. Of course, everything goes according to the actions of a person and the purity of his soul. The purer that you are, the more your neshama is going to radiate love and joy for Hashem. We have an obligation to work hard in our thoughts and our hisoirus and the inspiration. We have to do whatever we need to do on the night of the Seder to awaken inside of ourselves this love and this joy. Bein Rav Lama'at, whether we're gonna get a lot of it or a little bit, whatever we could reach with our hands. We have to try our best as the Pele Yoetz to elevate ourselves, bring ourselves higher, our families, the people sitting around the Seder table, when we're giving over and imparting the messages of Amunah and belief and Hashgacha Pratis and Hakara Satoiv, everything that it speaks about. Hashem Ye'ezer Lana, Hashem will help us. Ki Habal L'Tayir, someone who comes to purify themselves, Misayin Oisei Min HaShamayim, from Shemayim, from Hashem Himself. He will help us to be able to reach the tahara, the purity that we want. I will write about this further in the chapter of Pesach later on. Whether we'll get there together or not, I do not know. However, we are certainly learning about it right now, so you tuck this away for the next year. Remember, this is Shir number 230, speaking about Pesach. You have to go back and revisit it next year, Be'ez Hashem, so that we can really infuse our Seder tables with even more than we ever have before. All the best.